Hey everyone, welcome to Growonomics, where hydroponics meets financial independence. My name's Barrett, and if you're here, well, you're probably either a relative of mine or you're interested in hydroponics. Side note, though, if you're a relative of mine, I'm sorry for how much you've already had to listen to me talk about hydroponics over the years. I'm coming from a pretty diverse background. I've worked as a chef who focused on cost of goods sold, a banker, a stockbroker, and even a sales manager. That mix of experience really changes the way that I look at hydroponics. For me, it's not just an art form. It's about health, return on investment, or as you'll hear me call it in this series, ROI, a stable food source, and ultimately financial independence. So it's not all about just growing pretty plants, though that's definitely a nice bonus. No, my goal is to build something that saves me money, gives me control over my food, and makes sure I don't get surprised by food supply chain or get crushed by rising food prices. For me, the journey started back in 2020. I saw just how unpredictable the food supply chain can be, and prices went through the roof. I remember walking into the grocery store and seeing lettuce prices soar, and that's if lettuce was even there. For some reason, it just felt like my usual $5 salad greens were suddenly $12, and for me, that wasn't sustainable. So I decided to give hydroponics a shot, and at first, I did not know the least bit of what I was doing. I started with a basic $100 system that I bought online. No fancy gear, just the essentials. The goal for me was to see if it would actually work. I mean, could I grow enough food to feed myself, especially when prices were climbing every week and the supply chain may or may not have been there? I didn't have a lot of experience gardening outside. I had done some, but not what I would call extensive. So everything was a pretty new venture to me. And guess what? Even with that low-tech, entry-level setup, I was able to grow enough greens to cover my lunch salads every single day. It wasn't just about saving money. It was about reclaiming control over something so basic and essential as my food and my wallet. So fast forward to now, February 2025. I'm still no expert, and I don't do this full time, so I'm still learning every day. But I've gained a lot of experience over the years, and I'm kind of a statistics nut. So I've tracked my systems closely, and I've spent a lot of time analyzing my findings. With that, on this channel, I want to share everything that I've learned with you. And I want to invite you to comment if I'm doing something wrong or if I could do something better. And hopefully, along the way, I can show you how you can insulate yourself against rising food prices, reduce your waste, and build a consistent and reliable food supply chain right from your home. And that's why I started this channel. So for that, I want to go over the goals that I have. Number one, I want to help insulate you from rising food costs, because it's how I insulated myself from it. I know many of you are dealing with food costs that just keep climbing, and it's stressful. I get it. I want to show you how you can use hydroponics to help put a lid on that. I'll do detailed ROI breakdowns for every setup that I use, every piece of gear that I buy, and every upgrade that I make. I'll do them in quick bite-sized shorts so you can get the info you need fast. Goal number two. I'm going to do some gear reviews. I'll show you some 3D printing models that I used and some setup optimizations. Over the years, I've picked up a ton of tools, gear, gadgets, everything. Some of them are a big hit, some not so much. I'll review everything I've tried, from hydroponic gear to 3D printing models that can take your farm to the next level. And as someone who's into 3D modeling, I'll also be sharing some custom designs to help you optimize your setup in ways you may not have thought of. Now, I do want to put a disclaimer here in the gear section. You're going to see me use a lot of AeroGarden products, and that's just because I like their products. I'm not sponsored by them, but the main point of the channel is to talk about establishing a process that you can rely on and getting gear that you can rely on. For me, that was AeroGarden. For you, it may be something different. Okay, goal number 3, weekly maintenance tips. This is a big one. Hydroponics is not a set it and forget it kind of situation. It takes regular attention. I'll be doing some videos about maintenance, and when I do, I'll be showing you exactly what I do to keep everything running smoothly. Whether it's checking pH levels, topping off reservoirs, cleaning filters, you'll see it all. So you can get your own farm on the right track and you can set your own process. And finally, I'm going to throw in some inspired recipes. As a former chef, I've always believed that fresh, homegrown ingredients take any dish to the next level. As Alice Waters would always say, if you start with good ingredients, you end up with a good recipe. And I'm sure that's probably not her, but Chez Panisse definitely exemplified that. As you start harvesting your own greens and veggies, I'll share some simple and tasty recipes to make the most of what you grow. We're talking fresh salads, wraps, some more inventive dishes that make the most of your harvest. It's all about making healthy food that's easy and enjoyable and using what's available at that time of year. So whether you're someone who's just interested in growing food for fun, or someone who wants to seriously save some money on groceries and create a sustainable food source at home, I've got you covered. Hydroponics is the future of growing, and I'm here to show you that it's not only possible, it's achievable and financially smart. I know the idea of starting your own hydroponic farm might sound a bit intimidating. You might be wondering, is this worth it? How much does it really save? What kind of time investment am I looking at? And I'm going to be completely transparent with you on that. It entirely depends upon your gear, your setup, and the amount of time you want to put into it. If you build your own hydroponic system like the one I originally used, you're going to spend more time every week maintaining it because it's a much more manual process and the cleaning takes a lot longer. Ultimately, that's why I switched to pre-built units, because they handle a lot more of the weekly maintenance for me, and I save that time on convenience without losing any of the yield. As for how much does it really save? To put it in my own context, in the past 6 months, meaning the last 6 months of 2024, I was able to offset $1,400 of groceries without even maxing my production and without really putting a lot of focus on it. But as we go through this series, I'm going to put a lot more emphasis on maximizing my production so that I can show you how much you can really expect to get from it. But if you want a quick summary, a realistic goal to set, and this is a stretch goal, but it's an achievable goal, is 1.5 to 2 ounces of greens per pod per week. But that is kind of a lofty goal at first. But that's going to be our measurement rubric throughout this entire series. Ounces of produce per pod per week. So, thanks for tuning in to Growonomics. I'll see you in the next video where we actually start to get into some of the meat and potatoes, or meat and leafy greens, I guess, with a basic setup breakdown and dive into some of the essentials you'll need to get started. Till then, happy growing.